Welcome to the EarthWorks Podcast, where our team will share the jargon of carbon with many of the turf friends we've met over the past 35 years.
Hi, everybody. This is Joel Simmons, and this is another EarthWorks Podcast. It is the end of the year, and I have brought the entire team with me, and it's kind of like herding cats, but I think we'll have fun with this. It's going to be an interesting one. I want to first and foremost say thank you to everybody who has listened. We're getting over 1,000 listens a week, and some of our turf talks have hit, tens of thousands of hits. We were just talking about this. The one on humic acid, I think, is our biggest turf talk. But and that, of course, is our friend Mr. Lawrence Mayhew, who we have invited us or to be with us today. But I do want to say happy holidays to everybody and Merry Christmas and thank you and thank you and thank you. And I want to say thank you to the guys that are here, because without you guys, I think you guys know this. I've said it 1,000 times, probably in the wrong direction. But starting January, we're 38 years old.
Yeah, buddy.
38 years old, which means now I'm probably 45 years old in chronological age. But
yeah, I wish I was 38 years old.
Yeah, don't we all? I think back on this when I started this with Jerry. As I said on podcasts and everything else, but I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. Thank God Jerry did. But we got, we were these two guys that didn't know anything about anything in an industry that didn't want us. They had no interest in us being there. They thought we were going to ruin the industry, and they said it more than once, and they've been saying it continuously. We still have the trolls that love to throw us up on their podcasts and trash us because we're frightening them. But I can say comfortably that after 38 years, you guys and this team have changed the turf industry. I mean, people are talking carbon everywhere we go. Kevin and I just came back from the Cow Club, did an academy out there last week with our dear friend Glenn Smickley, who has been on the podcast, and I had a lot of guys come up. I mean, there was a lot of young guys in that room, Kev, and there was some really good notes. I ran into a couple of them afterwards. We traveled around and ran into some of the guys that participated, and I looked at their notes, and their notes were great. I mean, when I was teaching high school, I used to grade my students on their notes alone, and the notes that we had on some of this stuff was really very, very good. So it was kind of cool to see the young guys going. But I think that's what we're seeing is, us old farts, we're hard to change. And when Jerry and I came into this in 1988 and 1990 and started talking about carbon-based fertility, and one of my favorite slides that I have on the podcast on the Academy is that goofy picture of me and Jerry with my porn stash, but above Jerry's head is that sign that says biological soil management. That was built in 1990. So we've been using that phrase, and I'm sure Jerry came up with it. And it might have been a phrase that was used prior to then, but it's certainly been a phrase that we've adopted, and I think the industry is seeing the concepts of biological soil management. When I went into the academy last week, I stood up and I said, "Look, I want to sell you guys something. It's not product, but it is a concept, and I want to talk about biological soil management." And we got some great questions and some great feedback. And like I said, I'm really encouraged by seeing, the young generation of superintendents that are embracing what biological soil management is all about. And you guys are all responsible for making that happen. So I think we can give ourselves some applause. Having Mr. Mayhew on our team as our chemist and our mad scientist has been a wonderful thing. I love the fact that you're now recognized even in sustainable ag circles because of our podcast with you. And I think it's still one of our most listened to podcasts. We've had people come up to us at trade shows saying, "Is Lawrence here? Is Lawrence here? I want to meet Mr. Mayhew."
Yes. Yeah,
competitors. Right. That's right. It was a competitor.
Celebrity, Lawrence Mayhew.
Yeah, really. So Lawrence, we're going to have you back a couple of times. I think we're going to do this on a fairly regular basis. It's so easy to do a podcast with you, and it's usually so much fun.
Maybe we should have a life-size cutout of him at the show.
Oh, I like that idea. A cardboard Lawrence.
Take some selfies with Lawrence.
I like that. Yeah, send us a good picture. We'll have that made. That's not a bad idea, actually.
Sorry, Lawrence.
Because we know how much he loves to travel and going to, where are we going? Orlando this year.
Orlando.
Yeah, so we'll all be in Orlando in a few weeks, actually. It's only a month away now. So we'll all be there with the team, and there will be a bar at 3 o'clock on Wednesday. So if you're listening and you put this in your book, there will be an open bar that we'll pay for. So please stop by, spend some time and have a beer on us. But let me go around the horn a little bit and start with the senior member of our team, Mr. Higgins. You are, of
All
course, one of the
right.
podcast things. We had a neat podcast the other day with the podcasters.
Oh,
But
that was you and I.
that was you and I and Kevin
Oh,
and
yeah.
the,
Okay.
the podcasters. Yeah, that was fun, and I think we did really well with that. But any insights as we end up the year? I mean, what changed this year? You did some really cool things, and keep learning.
Yeah, we're having fun with success stories like usual. That's the big thing. That's always exciting is when someone reaches out and says, "Hey, it really changed my job this year." Like I was in a world of hurt and it got better. That was one. That there was a great story told by Jack Meyer in a podcast this summer. That was that exact situation. Hey, my golf course went underwater. I was in a world of hurt, and in 4 weeks, I had the place reopened. It's like, oh, dude, it's big. And it wasn't the
That's
place. It
yeah.
was 1 acre. It was 1 acre across two fairways. But those stories are really
That's why we do what
they're
we do,
motivating.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're exactly. That's why we do what we do. They
That's
keep you
what keeps
going.
them
They're
up at
motivating.
night.
Yeah.
So that's what we're
Yeah.
helping. We're just helping people sleep. That's all we're here for.
Yeah.
And get home. Have a
Right.
Yeah,
work-life balance.
yeah.
Like
Right.
that's the other major thing that we do that keeps me motivated for what we do is like because those are real life things that people come back to and say, "Hey, look, like I'm just getting home earlier. Like I'm not staying. I'm
You
not the
got
guy
me.
that's
Yeah. You got me off the hamster wheel, right?
yeah, I'm
Like,
not the guy that stays at work
yeah.
until
Yeah.
6:30 at night every week, every day. And that's huge. So, yeah, got me off the hamster wheel. Totally,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, those success stories, Jack, and you do it so well. You bring these guys into the podcast and really get them talking about some of those things. And
Thank you.
those are some of the best. I mean, it's so neat watching the different personalities between the three of us. But what you do really well is bring those guys in and let them tell their stories about how their eyes have opened up. I mean, it's when the light bulb goes off.
Another one I'm so amped about, or just a whole thing that we have going on, is the plant healthcare side, and that was a
Yeah.
great podcast with Bobby Solar this year, and will also ranked on high on the listens list there, because it was another one with a couple different case studies that showed, hey, we took it from the brink,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we turned this plant around.
We get
Revive
called
a
anecdotal on
60-year-old
these
oak
things.
tree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we get called
That's it.
anecdotal on
Right.
these things,
Yeah.
but they're real stories. I mean, these are people telling their stories and sharing them, and it's as good as I think it can get on a lot.
That sounds like jealousy. And when
Yeah.
call it anecdotal, like it's somebody's real life. It's not just a check plot. Like it's just somebody's real life,
Yeah.
and it really happened. So call it what you want.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin, you lived the life of the superintendent for so many years. Of course, you were also on a biological soil management idea, but certainly talked to enough guys over your career that just chased and chased and chased.
Yeah.
And I think that, you started this before you even met us, which is good.
Yeah. There's a category of superintendents, and I don't want to take anything away from them, but I actually followed one at my last golf course, and they don't do anything wrong. They just
No.
do it really, really hard.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
and there's so many things that are hard that if we can like Jack said, if we can eliminate one or two of them, why wouldn't we do that
Yeah.
as growers?
Create some efficiencies, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
enough hard stuff in the world and life and
100, especially for
your
golf course
work and
superintendents.
everything. Like let's
Yep.
simplify, and the people are the hard stuff, right?
Yep.
Like, managing a crew of 30 people or 40 people or 60 people, that's hard work.
And we can take a
Yep.
little fertility off the table and make that, not a hard. You know what baffles me more than anything, and I'm going to sound like a complete cynic and show my age, but I'm just baffled by the fact that after so many of these quote unquote academics come in and see what we're doing, and they still fight it. I mean, I don't, help me understand that. I mean, you've seen what these guys do. These guys come in and they tell these superintendents that they're wrong, but they've been successful as all get out, and they're not paying attention to what's really happening.
Cynicism sells,
Yeah.
being cynical is an easy sell.
Yeah, and you think about a lot of things in life. I mean, that which is not understood is mocked, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the easy button for them.
So is it a leap of faith that people have to take on this, or is it really that? See, because that's like something I never like to categorize the stuff that we do with EarthWorks as, hey, give it a long time and you're going to see it, or
It's not
this
a
is
long
going to
time.
you. Yeah, exactly. Or like, hey, you might not see the response, but be sure that this is really working for the soil underneath. It's like, no, I see it up top. I see it, I see the response immediately as
Yeah.
well.
Seems too, going back to what Joel said earlier. I mean, I think the younger generation understands because it's more woven into the fabric of how they've been raised is that, you know, and Lawrence can echo this. I mean,
Yeah.
all we're trying to do is come alongside nature and help her out a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
try to,
Lawrence's favorite motto is following Mother Nature, right? Lawrence?
yeah. I mean, it boiled down, it makes a lot of sense if you can just kind of do fewer things that go against Mother Nature. Maybe it's as simple as that.
Lawrence, you've seen this in agriculture. I mean, why are there so many feet being dragged when you preach this all the time. We follow nature. Look what you did with Eco Adaptive, followed Mother Nature. Jerry Brandy, follow Mother Nature.
What's the question?
Pay attention, my son. Pay
I'm
attention.
trying.
I'm trying.
I mean, you've seen this. You've seen this. The feet dragging in agriculture. I mean, regenerative
Yeah.
agriculture. I think regenerative agriculture is really on an upswing, and I think it's moving faster than I ever expected it to be. I don't know where the numbers are. They're less than 10%, but I know our CFO Ted LeBeau has always said he wants to stay in this thing until he sees a 10% regenerative agriculture community, and it's getting close to that, isn't it? But we're still seeing a lot of people dragging their feet, and I mean, the acres crowd is one, not, I mean, they're all in, but everywhere else you go, it's still, it's still being, poo-pooed, isn't it? What do you see?
What I see, well, the bellwether for me is how many people show up for the Acres USA
Right, every year.
conference. That's held once a year. It's the only time of the year when all the regenerative community comes together. The networking's fantastic. The spirit, the liveliness
Yeah.
Yes.
is just so nice. Yeah, everybody's wound up. Everybody's excited about something that they saw that worked for them. Some people have stories such as, I was in bankruptcy before I adopted these principles. And the number one complaint about Acres is that there's so many presentations to choose from. People can't make up their minds.
Yeah, that's a good problem.
So it's really a great gathering. Let me share a story with you, which kind of highlights the way things can go at Acres. A friend of mine has been working on these extremely diluted 500 to 1 dilutions of nutrients that are derived from fermentation products. And he sees a result. He's got proof of concept, and he was really frustrated. He said, I don't know if I'm going to come back here next year. And I said, look, this happens to me every time that I'm here. I'm frustrated about something, and someone's going to come out of that crowd, corner me somewhere and say, Lawrence, when you said yada, 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 he said the light bulbs went off and I did that and it worked. And we were having supper when I had this story, when I was talking to him about this. And this guy comes out of the crowd, sits down next to us, says, do you mind if I sit with you? And he was so impressed with what he saw in his pecans that he had a problem, and the problem was they had to shake the pecans partially through the growing season to shake off the excess production. Otherwise, it would impact the production of the next season.
And he had to thin it out.
Yeah, and he showed us this video of this pecan shaking tree mechanism. It was just crazy. The limbs were flying, flaying. The guy had to shake the pecans off the tree because he utilized the methods that my friend had adopted, and it was a great story. And
those methods were what? That
Yeah,
you
what
said
was
it
he?
was
What was he using?
what do you mean? Well,
What was the problem?
my friend has developed a technique whereby he'll put these plant greens right out of his garden. He'll take these greens, he'll put them in a crock, he'll pour water on them, some brown sugar, and then he'll take the extract in about 2 or 3 weeks, and he'll take that extract and dilute it 500 to 1, put it back on his garden, and the garden has extremely high resilience, wonderful production. And he just shared that with people 1 year ago at Acres, and that pecan grower applied those techniques.
Do it
And
yourself. Here's the framework how to create it. You do it and try
Mhm.
it.
and
Wow.
wow.
this
Super ethical.
guy's plan is to
He's
educate
not even selling
how to
anything. He's
do
just trying to
this.
help people out.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not in it for the money at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
It's
a
incredible.
retired aeronautical engineer,
Yeah.
and he's
So
just,
what's happening there? You said it's fermenting, which is a biological process, of
yes.
course.
Mhm.
And so I guess it's complexing those minerals or it's putting nutrient in the language of biology.
Making them more bioavailable is what they're doing, right?
He's increasing the bioavailability. Correct.
Yeah.
Um, when I sat in on his presentation 1 year ago, people were poo-pooing these parts per million. I put on, he says, here's a typical analysis of one of my products.
The dilutions, yeah.
And then he dilutes it 500 to 1.
Yeah.
And here's these parts per million up on the screen, and people
Parts
couldn't
per
buy
zillion
it.
now. Yeah.
So that's when I got engaged. I had lunch with him 1 year ago, and I said, look, I think I can help you out. And we actually generated a white paper that will probably get published someday, that where I took his data and showed him where there's patterns in that data, and these patterns strongly suggest that these plants are utilizing them more efficiently. Just a
But
nice.
Lawrence, there's only 14 essential elements. I mean, so all that's got to be crap, right? I mean,
Yeah, but I think I think Lawrence brings up a really important point that we all hear on a regular basis, and that's it doesn't have to be a super high analysis to be effective.
right.
You know, and I get it all the time. Well, that's only, 0.06 pounds of N per thousand. And yet at the same time, I've got clients that ask me if it's okay if they cut the rate because things are doing so well.
They're
You know,
growing
and
too fast.
There's got to
Yeah.
be something to that again, we're coming alongside nature and we're
Creating
helping her.
efficiencies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even something as simple as the 343, the straight chicken manure compost, how efficient that is at delivering
Right.
a response. You got lawn care companies that'll go out with 5 pounds per thousand of 343, which is what, like, well, a tenth of a pound of nitrogen, and they say, like, hey man, that fertilizer that gave me like a green and recovery that greened it up. I saw like lateral growth, and it lasted 6 weeks.
Imagine if every golf course superintendent did that in their roughs, put out 5 pounds of 343 once or twice a year. That's all they would have to do. I mean, this is the
Well,
definition of biological soil management,
Yeah.
bioactivity.
that's actually a nice trend that I've noticed in
Yeah.
golf course. In maintenance, people are working on the rough a lot more.
Yeah.
Supers have been putting a lot more effort into rough programs in the last couple years, and it's a lot of fun. It makes for really improves the whole aesthetic and the whole game
Yeah.
and the whole
It gets
thing.
banged up, man. A lot of players out
Yeah,
there.
exactly. And it's the weather's been god awful. Kirk, let me go to you since I'm running around the horn here. What's new in Texas? What's your takeaway from 2025? Been a fun year, hasn't it, my friend?
It's kind of been like the same story the last few years. I mean, they're still building golf courses like gangbusters. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So grateful for that, and obviously grateful for this team and our business partners, our distributors, our customers. It's just a joy, all the way, along that chain, working with everybody. So.
It is nice.
But
seeing
a
lot
lot of
construction.
really, I mean, a world-class golf resort, being built out in East Texas, which is, really exciting. A couple of new builds, 3 new builds here in the Metroplex, and a bunch in the Hill Country, and it's just
That's
nonstop.
amazing. That's amazing.
A fantastic golf course going in outside of Oklahoma City, and so it's we're busy nonstop, but it's exciting.
And we're seeing a lot of construction amendments going out there, which is good. People are starting to really appreciate the value of what we've been doing with construction, and it's been huge. Trying to mimic a soil in a soilless medium, and the growings. I spent some time with Justin Mandan, who just finished Pasa Tiempo, whose sweater I am wearing. Thank you. Thank you, Justin. But man, he had a phenomenal grow in. And Kevin, you said I think you said it better than anybody. The tie-ins on that property were spectacular. I mean, when I walked that property right after construction, it was flawless. And he's still amazed that how much. The legs that he gets on that construction amendment. He used Renovate and Myco and some more zeolite, and it's a no-brainer when it comes to kind of getting that kind of stuff down.
The conversation's easier and easier.
Yeah.
When we're talking about root zone amendments, grow-ins. It's just, I think people are more open to it and looking at long-term value, and
even USGA is starting to realize that there's some amendment. I mean, I saw
better alternatives.
Yeah,
I mean, they exist.
I think guys are using a lot less peat, if any peat, and doing more amendments and getting much stronger grow-ins. And
so that alone just frees up so much budget dollars to do the right thing. If you're not using the peat, right? Doesn't that just?
Well, it used to be
hunting some literature.
Yeah, it used to be like 100,000. It probably still is about $100,000 to do conventional peat by 10 or 20%. I don't think anybody's doing 20% anymore, but I've seen 15, and I've seen high salts, and I've seen, I'm not sure it's not, it's real necessary when you got a good amendment package. So, we were talking, and Lawrence, you were bringing this up about fermentation. I put a couple, or at least a slide together. I think, Kevin, was there only one that I put together on fermentation? But that's something that Jerry talked about back in the earliest I remember. Is we were using what we called at that time.
We're still using it.
Yeah, it's still in there.
We're still using it, but this was back in 1988 when nobody even had any clue as to what it was, and it was the BioNet, which we now kind of call something else, but it's a fermentation of a dairy whey. But it's when you have that level of fermentation, you're bringing bioavailability. I remember one of my favorite superintendents. Well, I remember he said, "Oh yeah, the next thing's going to be vitamins," and then we were all talking about vitamins, and then they're talking about fermentation. I said, well, we've been doing that since 1988. So, I mean, fermentation is only getting better, right, Lawrence? I mean, you're seeing more. I mean, obviously you saw some of it at Acres, but we're seeing more of it everywhere. And explain fermentation. I mean, it's bringing a bioavailability that you don't have because you've got a digestion in there, and that's a pretty weak way to explain it. But explain what fermentation does in soil science here.
Yeah, fermentation introduces some secondary metabolites that plants may be missing, actually. And it's an anaerobic process, oddly enough, lack of oxygen. The byproducts are extremely effective at help reducing reactive oxygen species, for example. There's a lot of antioxidants in these fermentation products. As you said, we've been using one for years. It's in the products. It's really interesting to watch how regenerative agriculture can keep reducing their inputs and increasing their profits and increasing their production, lowering weed pressure, and getting more results. And they're going the direction of less and less and less on the input side. And fermentation products play a key role in a lot of those. There's some companies that have popped up in the last few years that actually are in the business of selling the machinery to make those things. You remember the old tea, the compost tea?
Yeah, we used to have a brewer ourselves.
Yeah, that was a real hot item for a while. Yeah. The problem with compost teas were they were only stable for a few short hours.
Yes,
you had to get them out there, and all these issues have been overcome now on the regenerative side, and people can actually go out there and plan their applications Yeah, so fermentation products have really taken off.
So they have much more stability, the fermentation product. I mean, I imagine
They do.
beer is stable.
Yeah, they are. They're quite stable. Right.
The biology is active for longer than they were in the teas. Is that
Yeah, there's a lot of active biology in them, and
And
there's
stable.
so many different compounds that it would be pretty expensive to analyze them and see what's really in there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's hard to qualify, but it's there.
hmm I mean,
Fermentation products always work very well for me. I can just personally attest to
lots
that.
of sauerkraut going
Yeah,
down?
they just
He's talking about Guinness. That's what
I'm particularly talking about Guinness, but
well,
yeah.
for example, did you know that sauerkraut juice will actually detoxify Roundup, glyphosate?
I did
Whoa.
not know that.
No.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay,
How does
interesting.
that work? So it's bioactive enough that it will actually break down that molecule?
I'm not sure what the mechanism is, but I do know it's quite effective. Been to a number of presentations
Interesting.
where people have used it.
Oh, this will be good. We can get a lot of shit for this. This is good.
Oh, I like this. This will flag us. Yep.
Yes,
Work that
exactly.
algorithm. Work
Exactly.
that algorithm. Roundup. By the way,
Yes.
Roundup.
man.
Did we
That's
say
What's-
Roundup?
right. That's
You know
what
what's
we
really
said,
cool?
Travis. We said it's going to break down Roundup.
What's really cool is that there's this general knowledge that I have because I'm active in that community, and then I throw something out that we've been doing for years and years and years, and you guys go, "Really?"
Yeah, right. Right.
Shows you how
So,
far
okay,
behind
that-
we
Yeah,
are.
you can bring on the detractors. There's plenty of evidence out there. You know, another thing that's happened in my world of research is that it's becoming much easier to find research that supports what we're doing. And that
Oh,
was
that's good.
almost impossible to do 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You had to search and search and search. Now the research is out there. And like you said, USDA is backing up, and USDA
Yeah.
is actually
Everybody.
USDA is using fermentation products up in North Dakota and diluting on these extreme dilution rates and getting
See,
results.
I told you we were onto something.
Uh,
I'm hoping by the time I'm done with all of this, that like I started this by saying, why aren't people jumping on it? But they are. I mean, I
They
said
are.
this at our academy last week, Kevin. I'm following a lot of these guys, Micah Slota on Instagram, and these guys are putting out some phenomenal research. And there's so much really exciting. I mean, even the stuff that James White did at Rutgers with Jack's favorite subject of
Rhizophagy.
I mean, this is stuff that's happened in the last 5 years. And it just feels like there's a tidal wave of people coming to this and really saying, oh, well, that's interesting. Let's prove that. And they are proving that, as opposed to, our friends that are saying, oh, we've proven base saturation doesn't work. Well, you haven't actually, because you don't
Oh,
have.
we're way beyond that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
We're just way beyond that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. We're still we're like a mile and a half in front of them in the race, and they're still, trying to hold us back. But it's fascinating to me when you get on the internet and then you see so many of these, professors and researchers from all across the world that are coming out with, some of this stuff. The one I showed at the academy was, how the root hairs, vibrate to try to bring calcium into the plant. I mean, this was stuff that I was studying the other day, and I'm like, I got to show this, and it's just so much fun to see these things. And I think of Jerry, and I think of all the work that he did, and how excited he would be to see some of these changes. And he was a master of finding that new wave technology before anybody else did. And man, if he were still sitting here with us, Lawrence, we would we would be running. I mean, we'd be chasing.
I can imagine him with the power of AI and
Oh, I
all
know.
of the information that's available now. Like, he would never get his head out of a
Somebody would have to
computer.
do it for him, but once they did
Yeah.
it for him, it would be good. That's funny.
Fun.
So, Kevin, let's roll to you. How was the year? What did you find? What's new? You've gotten some pretty cool things going on the West Coast. You've got the biggest territory, and I'm sorry for that, but
No, that's all right.
there's a lot of good stuff going on over
I
there.
think, to echo Kirk's comments, there's still an awful lot of construction going on, and that's been really, really rewarding to be a part of, and help some growers. I'm particularly excited, and I think this goes back to kind of the market changing, but I'm particularly excited to see some some movement in the lawn care industry.
Yeah.
And I think that's driven by the fact that they've got clients that are requesting it, just like requesting more organic inputs and less reliance on chemistries. I think it's the same thing we see in the grocery store. That organic section in the grocery store just continues to grow, and there's more offerings. And I've encouraged a lot of lawn care operators to look at that as kind of their model as far as marketing goes. There's tremendous opportunities there. So that's exciting. That's going to be a real focus for me in the next year, is just to try to get more lawn care operators to think that way, because it's just a shift in thought process.
Think outside the NPK box, like those numbers aren't big enough, or whatever it is.
And there's some resistance, operational resistance, I guess, that really doesn't need to be there.
Right.
Once they kind of wrap their head around, what we're talking about, the lower inputs,
5 pounds.
Less frequency on applications, and just kind of retooling their business model. I think the guys that the operators that we've had success with are our biggest advertising or advocates, I think, for change. They've seen it. Right, Jack? You've got clients like that.
It works better, it costs less, and people want it.
Yeah,
that seems like a horrible idea.
Yeah.
So those are the things I think are really exciting. And I want to read a text from a friend of mine, and he knows who he is, but he can be a little bit critical at times. And he said he started using C3 this year in earnest as his biostimulant, and he texted me and said, "You ready for my official review?" and of course, that I thought, oh great,
there it goes.
What's going to happen? He says C3 is really, really good. And so my response, of course, was, seriously, or are you trolling me right now? And he said, his response is, I might be an a-hole. I'll never troll you about a product, though. Best seaweed product we've ever worked with. I've expanded it into all my short grass, spraying it on greens. Will be in our program next year.
And it's so much more than a seaweed product. That's
but
that's why it's the best.
Right.
Really sharp grass grower, really sharp superintendent who evaluates things very, very earnestly. And we hear that all the time. That product is such an easy addition, and to Lawrence's point, I think it makes everything else. There's a synergy there that makes everything else work better.
Talk about echoing Jerry, because that product is truly an opus of what he did. Because it is so efficient. It is such low cost. It fits so well into everything. It's not myopic. It's not like
it was Jerry. Yeah, I mean, it was
thinking very universally.
He was expansive. I mean, it started by being a linear kelp product, and there's a whole bunch of them in the market, and this is just a kelp product, and they bring it in and it doesn't work as well. And Jerry hated the fact that I was thinking about bringing on a linear kelp product, so he literally took out the EarthWorks notepad and scratched the formula, and it's pretty damn close to what we're following today, and it works.
And for that reason, it's the foundation of everything else that we do on the liquid side of the industry.
20 plus raw materials in there. Yeah. And Lawrence has had the challenge of keeping it stable, but it's actually one of our easier products, and it really works.
And then it does things that you don't expect it to do, like
Christmas trees.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And also the feedback I constantly get is still about it reducing worm casts. It just there's another anecdotal deal that, like, fine, call it what you want, and it's not a silver bullet. It doesn't work perfect. It's not 100% to 0%, but like if it's 100% to 20%, isn't that a huge difference maker? And if it's doing everything else, doesn't that really, really help you? So anyway,
and so many companies have tried to copy that product. And Lawrence, I think you would probably be the person to talk to about this, but they do it with 3 or 4 ingredients. And I don't think they understand how do you stabilize 20 ingredients or 30 ingredients in a jug like you're doing. I mean, it's not the easiest thing we've ever done, is it?
No, I've often said that I did nothing with Jerry's formulas for 7 years after I was on the job in charge of those
Did I
formulations.
pay you for those 7 years? I
Yeah,
don't remember
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I
And
gotta
I
go
just,
backwards now.
I would, no, you talk about complex. Oh my gosh.
Took
And
7 years to just figure them out.
Yeah, what the hell is this shit?
yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, these things should just go turn into rocks. They should turn into
Mud.
elephant turds, or something.
Mhm.
And they don't. And it's amazing what he put together there. And I'm only beginning to scratch the surface of trying to understand the biochemistry of these things. It's extraordinary.
Well, a lot of what you've done is, and Jerry did, was, the products like the humates that stabilize things, that the fermentation materials, I think
Mhm.
bring a stability to the products. I mean, these are
Mhm.
some of the real secrets that we don't want to give away completely here because somebody will copy us, but they're not even getting close. I mean, 38 years and, nobody's really done what we're doing as a whole package yet. And and I just give such great accolades to this team because of all of that. And obviously, my respect and love for Jerry just blows my mind that he is still, 10, 11 years after his passing, and he passed 2 days ago, by the way, 11 years ago. But, he's still far ahead of his time. And it's amazing. And of course, what you've done, Lawrence, is it's kept this ball and rolling and certainly improved it. I mean, we've gone through a lot of gyrations. I mean, K Vantage alone,
Yeah, that was what I wanted to bring up.
you
That's
and
one
I
that's
talked
really
about,
Lawrence,
yeah.
right?
And that's really, yeah, it was the first jump into eco-adaptive, and man, that product is it's on fire. I mean, if you guys haven't played with K-Vantage, it makes potassium mobilize, and what we're seeing, and we're seeing it on soil tests, it's keeping potassium sodium at bay. So it's keeping the
The
potassium levels
seeing
at
it
bay.
on soil tests is really impressive because I've seen it a couple times now
Yeah.
too. Like it's like how are you holding 20, 15, 20 parts per million of potassium on this saturated paste?
And
It's
what
like,
do they
well,
say?
the only thing I changed was use K-Vantage is
Yeah.
what they say. So that was like, okay, interesting. So that's really a question I have. Like, how are they doing that? What's going on with K-Vantage that's
Uh-huh.
working?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Don't give away
Well,
all the secrets, Lawrence, but give us a little insight.
after studying Jerry Burnetti's formulas, that was my first shot at seeing if
Okay.
I could replicate what he had done.
So you really did that consciously. You were trying to show or repeat what he had done in other
Yeah, what
formulas.
would Jerry do?
Oh,
Okay.
I have a sign on the wall here.
Yeah, what would he do? And
Okay.
I had one huge goal in mind: no sulfates, no chlorides.
Mm.
Those were parameters I wasn't willing to back off on.
And that comes from your understanding of eco-adaptive and trying to maintain some homeostasis and that whole trying to maintain some
Non-destructive.
balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This whole idea of ecological stoichiometry is actually well supported by a book that I found written 10 years ago by
Oh my.
by Stefan Franzel. The name of the book is Chemical Elements in Plants and Soil. And I'm shocked because this guy wrote down 10 years ago that I've been working on for the last 10 years.
Mm.
Anyway,
Parallel universes, bud.
yeah, I tried
Where is he
really,
from? Where is this guy from?
I think
Sounds
he's
German.
from Germany.
Yeah.
Franzel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool.
See,
So,
that's how much, universally there is all this work being done, which is cool.
yeah,
Well, I also
one of the
remember
things
learning.
one of the things in this book is how rubidium actually supports the bioavailability of potassium. Okay, so here I've got
We've been going
scientific
back and
evidence.
forth all year about rubidium, by the way, just so everybody knows. How do
Buckle
we
up,
get this
kids.
in
Here we
here?
go.
This shit's expensive.
Keep your
Yeah,
arms and your legs
it
in the ride at all times here.
it's all in there. It totally explains how that works.
Okay, so yeah, I think we're seeing it then because that's the reports that we're getting back from the
That's
field.
just one thing, then by
Okay.
using formates, acetates, bicarbonates instead of sulfates and chlorides, I I think this is not boasting, but I tried a lot of potassium fertilizers over the years on a tree out in my own
Mhm.
yard that had a classic potassium deficiency. this is the first thing I've ever found that worked. So I'm wondering, is there any other potassium fertilizer in the rest of the world that works compared to this product?
Well, yeah, I mean, I mean, the feedback has been phenomenal. And,
Yeah.
and getting potassium into the plant is the key on this thing. And I mean, why bother doing any fertility if it's just sitting in the soil and then leaching through?
And if
But
it's
but
if
how
it's
that then
yeah,
echoes in the
Right.
the soil solution,
Yeah.
because
exactly.
we are delivering it to the plant. Yes, that because we know that with these sprays, we're not, we're putting out 5 ounces of K Vantage or 3 ounces of K Vantage over 1,000 square feet. That's pretty diluted. Talk about dilutions.
Hmm.
However, so that's delivered to the plant, but what I'm so impressed with is how the plant then throw can affect the balance of the moisture that's maintained in the root zone. That I always figure that saturated paste to be a measurement or of the 15-20% soil moisture that we're trying to maintain in the root zone, and it's affecting that.
It's pretty
That's
interesting.
that's really rewarding to hear.
Yeah.
I was pretty resistant to get involved in golf courses because I have a bad attitude.
Yes, you
Or like
do.
Gary Zimmer would say, "Gee, what a waste of fine pasture ground." But it
Hey, it's a
has,
cover crop, dude. It's 100% cover crop, and we're putting a lot of CO2 back
yeah.
into the ground. So I mean,
But now that I've been working with you guys for what, 10 years
yeah,
already?
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, it's been very rewarding. It's been
yeah.
interesting. It's been educational. It has it checks off all the boxes that keeps me going, keeps me interested. So it's been great working with you guys.
And it's
Oh,
fun
that's cool.
watching the light bulbs go off. I mean, when we do these kind of things, and I think the podcast has helped us a lot because we can talk about it between ourselves and our guests. But I mean, when we see these things change like they are, it's just been, it's been really rewarding, which is kind of cool. Marshall, we've been letting you sit there all by yourself quiet because you're
Been
completely
very
overwhelmed and
quiet.
intimidated by this loud and boisterous crew. But just to introduce Marshall, you've been with us now. You'll be almost 2 years soon, won't you?
February too. That's why
February.
I'm quiet most of the time. I'm still trying to listen to all this. Y'all been
I
doing
hear you.
a
Well, that's
decade or
good.
more.
But it's hard to jump in. But you've done some amazing things, and as Kevin was talking about lawn care. I mean, you and I did a nice seminar with one of your lawn care clients, and it was fascinating to me that these guys really kind of took this to heart and really found that hey, maybe there is another way to do this. And one of the things that we talked about at that was not the agronomy of what it is, but the business of what it is. And you and I have had some nice feedback from, I suspect one of them was the owner or one of the higher up managers,
Yes.
but, literally trying to get them to change their business model, get away from this Chemlon a la carte. And and you could see in that conversation, the light bulb going off. And it was
Exactly.
fascinating, but you've been able to source. I mean, you must be the busiest guy on the team and juggling a lot of elephants. You've got a lot of distribution in a small area, but a big, big market of Florida and southern United States, southeast United States. But 2 years in now, I mean, you knew of us because you worked with around us and when you were at Precision with
Mhm.
our friend Big E. But what's blown your mind after 2 years of doing this?
Yeah, I mean it's going from one state, two distributors to 8 states and 7 distributors in less than 2 years has been. Yeah, I've traveled a lot,
Yeah,
done a
Kirk,
lot.
Kirk, we need a couple more of him if you can get that
Yeah, yeah,
arranged.
please.
But it's been fun. I mean, the existing distributors, everybody's raised their game. We've grown a lot. Like I said, we brought on new ones, and getting to know them better and growing them has been awesome. It's been a very big, successful year. Um, done a lot of trade shows, a lot of those,
And
but
you're a
it's
master of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the best part, or I don't know, one of the great things about it is the longer I've been there, the more I've gone to, having people come up to the table that are already using stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you're not going to take a sheet, so I got to carry all this back home now, but that's not good. But there's plenty of people that have heard about it that want to know more about it. So it's really been really cool to see that. No matter whether it's been a new state that I went to this year, people coming up like, I'm already using this, and this, seeing a lot of success, and then they'll turn to the person next to them and tell them, if you're not using this, you need to try it. And then that's why I came up to the table. It's been
And that's
great. I
when
mean,
you
a lot
slip
of
them a $20 bill and say
yeah,
thank
I'm
you.
like, yeah, I'll get you back later after this. But I mean, it's been a lot of that in a lot of these events. It's just
People like being a part of this,
yeah, it's great.
and they want to share it. They want it. That's what's fun.
But
Mhm.
explain to me one thing, Marshall. I mean, Florida was always an enigma for us. It just seemed like it was unbreakable. You've broken it, but it just seemed like the community, the turf community, just was, oh no, this can't work, or it's too expensive. But clearly, you've changed that. I mean, what happened? I mean, how did it start? How did where are they going? I mean, obviously, you've had some key people in there like John Riley and other folks, but you know, I mean, I still don't know why this has happened so as well.
I mean,
Other
I'd
than,
love to take all the credit for that, but I
no, you
can't.
can, you can, you
I'd
can.
say it's our great partners. I mean, they're getting out and spreading the word more, and they've seen it. If they were going up against it before they had us as a partnership, I think a lot of them are excited to get it because now they could use it for their benefit, obviously. But I think just having more feet on the ground, I mean, more people talking about it has helped tremendously. I mean, the word's just getting out better. It's just getting spread more. There's a lot of construction renovation. I mean, it's Florida for God's sake, but
Yeah, there's a lot.
it's all year long, and then you add on the southern states. I mean, they've been working really hard up there. A lot of our partners were already up there that I am taking on. I just think it's a lot of people talking about it
Yeah.
more. To be honest,
We always thought because of the light sandy soils, the low CECs, the low organic matter, there would be a big wheel to turn before we'd actually see anything. But I was dead wrong, and that's clearly not what's happening. I mean,
it's so
even
starved. One
yeah,
little bit
so
is
yeah,
changing
even
it
a little
overnight.
bit, these guys are seeing this jump. It's amazing, and the feedback that you've gotten that I've been able to share with some of you, your guys has been amazing. We've had a bunch of guys in your neighborhood on the podcast, so some great stories out of. We should just pull out the Florida section of podcasts and the stories that are told. Number one podcast of the year was John Riley. Of course, he's John Riley and a good Rutgers guy, but he's
He's also what doesn't he rank on who does the golf Twitter rankings like for our
oh, he's
industry?
one. Yeah, he's next to Kevin Hicks. He's one of the top. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
right.
I don't carry
I've
as
had
much
some
weight
people
anymore.
try C3 for the first time, and they're 2 months in. They're like, my souls are changing already. We just had a guy last week. They thought an oak tree was dead. Did a 5% drench. 11 days later, they had budding and leaves. I mean,
You sent that around. That was great. We got to post that because that was a classic. That was, that was kind of like the Bobby Solar post that we used.
Yeah.
And the next comment was, "I'm a believer." I was like, "Well, there you go." I mean, it's stuff like that spreading around.
Yeah,
I love the plant
It
healthcare
makes
stuff.
it easy.
yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, we really need to talk a little bit more about, plant healthcare as a whole and really get out there. I mean, there's so many things that we can help people with what we already have. But and like I said, C3 and now hopefully K Vantage. Lawrence, you got any other brand new ideas coming up? I mean, we have a couple of things that we're working on, right? Well,
Sure would like to develop a flush.
yes, we would, wouldn't we?
Mhm.
One that works and easily managed. Although, I said this at the academy. I mean, we've got research from our friends, Dr. Henry at Georgia. Kick as a flush was 40% reduction in sodium in one flush.
And then you pair that with K Vantage and flipping that ratio around. It's a big
Keep pushing it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
putting K Vantage in the same flush, it's still getting that potassium in there and protecting that plant from all the evil that's been done. But so, gents, we are about to hit 300 of these podcasts, which is amazing to me. I think March will be the date that we should have a big splash and get Lawrence and some of our big names on there. I mean, some of the big ones this year were John Riley. Of course, Lawrence is just a hero in the podcast world. Armin Sooney is always, thank you, Armin. Armin Sooney is always a great one. Keith Wood was in the top 5, and Keith is always a great, gracious gentleman of a host. And man, I love going to his property for Quail Hollow for tournaments, and he's just a class act. And then we've had Tyler Bloom on a couple times, and he hit the top 5 this year, which is great. I've known Tyler, Jack. You and I knew Tyler when he was growing dirt on a dog track in Baltimore, for God's sake, and he'll be the first to tell you that. And I mean, he has built a wonderful business that I think is incredibly supportive of our industry, and he's been a great guest. So You remember the days of, talking.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Great. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, the podcast is a lot of fun. And the turf talks, the 2-minute deals,
Yeah.
they're super effective.
So what's
2 years from
anybody
now.
think of 2026? Go ahead. I'm going to leave this open for him here. What's in the horizon? What's good? What's bad? Other than having Lawrence on the podcast another 6 times.
Start with Marshall.
Renovations.
There you go.
Construction.
Yep.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing. I mean, obviously, it shows you how, since COVID, how good the golf industry has been. And turf industry and whole, even lawn care. I mean, sports turf, everybody's growing in leaps and bounds.
World Cup.
World Cup is
Cup
coming.
this
Talking
Yeah.
about sports turf, and then what that can mean repercussions for just sports fields. Like, just we should piggyback on that for everybody that manages athletic fields.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Just do it right. It doesn't take much input to make a huge difference for these fields, which is not a huge difference for the kids. So
I was watching not this weekend, but last weekend, I think I was watching the Kansas City, Chiefs game, and I texted Travis Hogan, who was the grounds manager during the game. I didn't expect him to text me back, but I just said, dude, that field is gold, man. That is gold. And we went back and forth during the game, and but it was kind of neat. Travis, of course, was a student of mine at Rutgers, and he's been a podcast guest, but he's still excited about some of the things that he sees. But it's just kind of cool to see at that level, and then at the school level, and at the university level. One of the things that we're hoping. And I think I can share this, Kirk, without blowing anything seriously. We're working very diligently on finding a way to get odor out of the products.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, if we can get there, and we've got some tools coming in that will help us.
Still my thunder here. That's what I was going to say.
Sorry about that. Well, go ahead, finish it off. Finish it off.
That's kind of like we got two really exciting things. One with Lawrence and on the liquid side, another thing on the granular. So just as a little teaser, headed into 2026, we're really excited about it. It could be, change the industry on some stuff we're working on. So I'm really excited about that.
And even in that, Kirk, without getting into too many nitty gritty details, you and I talked about the fact that the process, and this is a biological thing that maybe we can't necessarily pinpoint, but it's changing analysis too, which is really interesting.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
More is less, as somebody told me once. Just make sure it's the right less.
Yeah.
Make sure it's the right less.
Still have that on my sticker. Yeah,
less is more.
Yeah, less is more, and just make sure you have
not more is less.
Yeah, sorry, more is less.
More is less too. In some
more
cases,
is less. How obvious.
Right
the other
less.
thing that we're changing, we're getting a stronger partnership with our manufacturing partners, Rose Acres, and they've been extremely supportive of what we're doing. And, we're hoping for more and better things that we won't share at this podcast. But certainly if we can, take some odor out of the product down the road, hopefully it'll get us back into universities. That's been a problem for some of those folks. But, what other things are we seeing? Anything else coming up before we wrap up here? Don't be shy now, for God's sake.
No.
Well, go ahead, Jack. You take it out.
Well, no, just what I'm always excited about is getting back from the golf show and seeing Spring Sprung, and then just getting out there with everybody. And there's
Back in
always back in it. It's always exciting. Everyone's always in a great mood.
Yeah.
And then getting out on those properties that did the dormant feed or the fall feed and seeing.
You
them
mean the
jump
really
out.
green ones?
Yeah, exactly.
The really green properties that dormant fed and jumped out of the shoes not jumped out of their shoes, but at least greened up nicely.
Yeah, that's the best part about this gig for all of us, that are into the growing thing, is that you get to do it again.
Yeah.
Let's run this back from the top.
It's funny. I still remember, starting this with Jerry and not really understanding the chemistry, the biology, the physics of it all. And still getting excited about seeing the light bulbs go off and seeing that first spring green up. I mean, that's some of the best. When you have a guy that says, "Yeah, look at this. Look, I mean, it's early March and we're green as can be, and everybody else around us is still bone brown, and and I, well, what is that? Well, we did a dormant feed of 822, and it's just, I would never have thought this would have happened. And then
That's
you
what I'm
still
talking
get some
about.
of the academics saying, oh, you can't have that. It's all going to jump out in June and then cause you diseases. Like, really? That's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. Gents, I think we should go off to Christmas and enjoy ourselves. I got to say thank you to you guys more than anything. I mean, this is a great little brotherhood, and Lawrence, you're a big, huge part of that. But I can't imagine having a better team, and I certainly didn't dream of this, 38 years ago. When I started this thing, and it was just Jerry and me, and then luckily we found Lisa Kiefer, who, by the way, if you have not
Yeah.
listened to the Lisa Kiefer podcast, Lisa has been the reason to a great extent why EarthWorks is what it is. She has been with us for 26 years, 8 months, 42 days, and 63 hours, and she'll tell you exactly to the moment what it is. We had a wonderful celebration of Lisa at our Christmas party early in the season, in the month, and Lisa and I sat down in the original EarthWorks office where she was interviewed. We sat down in the room where she came in one day for a job interview, and as she said in the podcast, Jerry turned to me and said, "We have to hire her." Because it was such an amazing interview. And thank God, because she is and was the glue for 26 years, 7 months, 900 hours, whatever the hell the number is. But Lisa does know it. But if you haven't listened to that podcast, give it a listen. You'll get a kick out of it. She's just a wonderful person, and she's been our matriarch for a very, very long time. All of these guys grew up. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the only reason Kevin came to the company is because of Lisa. It had nothing to do with me. Oh, I like Lisa. I'll come work for these guys.
It's 100% true.
It is
He is the best.
What was it? Pat Jones said, "Do you go work for the people you like?" Well, I like Lisa. That could work pretty well. That would
Yeah.
work out really well. But yeah, that was a fun podcast, and we will miss her greatly. Although she will still be kind of hanging around, as I said before, she's the only
She'll
one.
be at the show for
She'll be
everyone.
at the show
that
this year.
Lisa.
So yeah, if you know Lisa, come out to Orlando and say hi to her and
Come
wish
have a
her
drink
best.
with her.
That's
Yeah,
right.
she's
3 o'clock
gonna
on
be-
Wednesday.
It's going to be her bar. It's going to be her
Or,
hosting.
8 a.m. on Tuesday.
Well, it could be that. She'll have a
Doesn't
spicy
matter.
bloody. Knowing her, she will. And then she's heading off to see our other retired friend, Susan Shaner from Logan Labs. The two of them are friends, and they're getting together after the GIS and hanging out in Susan's little pad down in Florida. So it's been kind of neat to watch all this stuff going. And Kevin, you and I are getting to that age where we're starting to see our friends retire and move on. I mean, it's kind of a weird feeling, isn't it? I mean, these young guys got another 20 years in this thing, but it's kind of weird watching, a lot of our dear friends, changing jobs or moving out of the industry altogether.
Yeah, that's, not to get too sentimental, but it's
Go
one
ahead.
of the things, because it's a tough industry, especially on the golf side. It's a thankless job in a lot of ways. I mean, there's a ton of reward, I think, and it's internal reward, but not a lot of loyalty anymore, and
No.
and that's disappointing. So anytime I can celebrate a friend retiring, under his own decision making,
on their
that-
terms.
that's
On
a
their-
great,
on their
that's
own,
a
yeah.
great day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, Rick Tegmeyer comes to mind as far as that.
Great
He-
example. Yeah.
He is living his best life, man. It's great to see, and that's that's the reward at the end of
Everybody's saying that. I mean, 30 years ago or 50 years ago, you'd sit in front of a TV and then you die a couple days after retirement. But man, everybody I'm talking to, they're busy as can be. They're having the
Yep.
best life. It's a
Yep.
wonderful, wonderful thing.
Well,
you
that's
and
the
I,
key.
you and I talked about this the other day, though, and among a bunch of superintendents, I think some of that has changed. I think superintendents are now being awarded with the ability to retire on their own terms, much more so than when you were at your peak. When 50-year-old superintendent had this massive bullseye on their back, it just
Yep.
feels like you're seeing people you're seeing, Jeff from Cypress Point, who just had a wonderful career of 30 plus years and is, retiring. And, you just see a lot of these guys that are able to, make it on their own terms. Thank God. That's where
Yeah.
our business should be. I mean, that's, and then get these guys out on fairway mowers and put on suits with their name on it like this. And it could be a great, final career move, coming in and doing some of all that stuff. All right, folks. Again, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody for listening. And we will be back again at the very beginning of the year with more podcasts. I think next week we're going to do a little best of because of the holiday. But I want to thank everybody who has been listening and paying attention. We've gotten some great, great honors of the loyalty of people listening to this. So we are truly blessed. So. Thank you, folks. Thank you for listening, and be around next week for the best of whatever that means.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.